So today's webinar is going to be part 2 of entering medical orders. Again, everything that we enter must be put in as a medical order. On the left-hand side of the screen, if you click on the order shortcut and then medical orders, this is where all your orders are going to be. If you are looking for an existing medical order, you can type in the name up top here. But if you want to add a new order, you don't look for the customer first. You have to hit the plus sign and add a new order. Then you can start typing in the customer's name, hit the tab key, look at all the information. We went over how to change things up top here on our previous webinar. That's medical orders part 1, so we're not going to do that today. We're going to add a few more medical orders in and show you some of the differences. The first one we're going to do today is going to be diabetic strips and lancets. I'm going to hit the plus sign. So this is order number 1243-1, line 1, and we're going to put it in test strips. Well, I don't need to change anything. Today's date, we have it's a purchase, and then our item number was 66666. I click on that, then everything should be pulled in from the item and the coverage on how it was set up. The first thing you see, I have this set up so that it does a K and a question mark. Well, the question mark's not a valid modifier, so that's going to come up with an error and it won't let me bill this until I fix that question mark. That's just one way of reminding you that you need to put, in this case, a KS or a KX modifier on, depending on if they were insulin dependent or not. We come down and we have quantity ordered 1 and a box. I don't care who I'm delivering, who the insurance or payer is, because I am selling a box. Well, let's say I'm selling 2 boxes. If I put a 2 over here, then we will actually see that 2 boxes, and these are 25s, would actually be 1 unit. If I change this to 4, if I change that to 4, and I said, okay, we're going to do 4 boxes. For Medicare, every 50 strips is 1 unit, so 4 boxes would be 2 units. It comes up because I set up the coverage correctly. Also, didn't point out, but we go back up top, we'll see that it put a through date in there. It automatically did that because I set up the coverage to say I'm dispensing a 30-day supply, so it automatically counts from today's date and it goes to the 30 days from there. If I change this date to the 15th, it knows that 30 days from the 15th would be the 14th, July 14th. So it automatically counts because I set that up to say it needs to be a 30-day span. One thing that you don't see is you don't see a diagnosis code. That's because no diagnosis codes that are put in there on the customer match the list that I showed in Medical Orders Part 1. So there may be diagnosis codes, but none of them have been used and gotten paid for an A4253. If I click on 3 dots, you'll see the 3 diagnosis codes. It doesn't mean that these are the only ones, or that you won't get paid because these were not used before. It's just that these were not used. If you need to add another diagnosis, you can do it from here. Click on the 3 dots, and I believe, let's do it from here. I believe that all the, yeah, there they all are. So these are all the diagnosis codes for diabetes, and I'm just going to pick one. And once I have it, do you want to add it to the chart? Well, of course, if I'm putting it in the order, I need to add it to the chart. And now we have a diagnosis code. I'm going to leave that K question mark so that you can see the error that comes up with that. But this is a way of putting in an order, A with a date span, B with this K question mark so that it reminds you, and then the 4 boxes and 2 units, it automatically came up. I just changed the quantity that I'm dispensing. I'm not putting it in as to how I'm billing it, quantity. And then I click on OK, and there's my first line. I'm going to put in Lancets here just to show you about something. These also need a date span. But for this one, looks like something's not set up at all. Procedure code didn't pop in automatically. That means that my item is not set up correctly. I'm just going to show you if I go to the item with the first ellipse button after the item number and do the triangle up top, and we'll just quickly go to coverage, and I don't have a coverage for Medicare A. And I didn't say that Medicare A mimicked any other insurance, so it's not going to look at any of these. It would only look at those if I mimicked one of those insurances or if I had a payer with Medicare A or a self-pay. But that's why any codes or anything did not come up. But we'll leave it in there. And again, we can just put anything in that we want. We do not have to fix everything when you're putting in items. And then to follow up with the K question mark, I'm going to go down here to the IntelliCheck button and click on that. And you'll see right there, invalid procedure code K question mark. That means that the K question mark is not a valid modifier. If I change it to a KS or KX, that would be, and that would free up that error message. I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to say this one here, HCPCS modifier combination does not exist. So this is the second thing that we save information on when customers get electronic payments back from Medicare. We save what modifier combinations people have gotten paid for which procedure codes. Now you're going to want to know, well, where's that list? Well, if I go into that line item, and if I go to the second ellipse button next to the procedure code, the first one goes to the procedure code list. The second one, if this is Medicare, it would not go into the modifier list. It goes into something called the LCD. And if we go to the bottom of this, you will see here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different combinations that people have gotten paid for through Medicare for an A4253. So I think somebody was asking last time, how can I get a list of modifiers? Well, this is the way that you can sort of do it. You can look in this list, if it's Medicare, and kind of get an idea of what people have been using. Now, this list is updated every once in a while. It doesn't mean that we take off combinations that aren't paying right now, because we only pull information of when something's been paid. So there could be a combination in here that is no longer used. So you got to watch that. But if you see a number like the top one, 854 times, it's a pretty good chance that it's still being used. A lot of people are using the KS or the KX. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually just click on one of these, hit OK, and it'll put it on your order for you. You don't have to then go back in and add the KS or KX. But that's the second thing that we save when people are importing their electronic payments from Medicare. Now, that just fixed 2 errors. It fixed the one that was the K question mark, which is no longer there, and it also fixed the one that said modifier combination because NUK question mark was not in that list. I'll point out one more thing, or a couple things maybe. Lot number is required. This particular item requires a lot number. I showed you in part 1 that an item needed a tracking or serial number. Well, now this item needs a lot number. Lot numbers, which we really should have on the test strips, we didn't check that off, but on, let's say, the Lancets, the lot number box is down here, the 5th row, but it is over to the right. It's way over here, 5th row. This is where you can put one or several lot numbers, and then we have a report that's called a audit report by lot number, and if there's ever a recall, you type in a lot number and it'll show you everybody that's had that lot number. To add a lot number, all you're going to do is click on the ellipse button, and then you can hit the plus sign and just type in your lot number. Have another lot number. Oh, there's something else that's on this item that I don't normally do, so it's not going to let me do it from here. Let me do the Lancets, the test strips. So I'm going to go into these test strips to the item itself, and I'm going to just change this so it does require a lot number. So I'm going into the item itself. On this first tab, I'm going to come down here and say it requires a lot number. I'm going to save everything, and then I'm going to bring it back up, and now I should be able to put in a lot number on this one. Hit the check mark to save it. If I have another lot number, hit the plus sign and put in a lot number. You only see the first one here, but they're both inside of TeamDME. I want to just write that lot number down so that when I'm doing the reports on Thursday, we'll see when we run that lot number audit report by lot number that it shows who that lot number belongs to. The other thing, if you've noticed, I believe I pointed this out before, but this always checks for inventory unless you turn it off per item. This is saying that I'm dispensing 4 boxes. I didn't put in any actual physical inventory, so it's saying it's -4 with this. You can still put it in, and it'll still accept it at this point. We save that one. Let's add another order. I didn't want Richards. Let's try that again. There we go. So let's put in concentrator and portable. And just to show you a little difference in that one, so this is going to be a rental item, IRC, IRC, that's the one we want. So the only thing I wanted to point out here is that under recurring, we set it up for 36 months because that's how Medicare wants you to bill. You can bill for 36 months, and then after that, you can bill every 6 months for maintenance until it gets to month 60, and then you can get new paperwork and start all over again. And we'll just do a portable. Wrong icon there, Mike. We can do a portable. And I don't know how it's set up. Do we have a portable? Let's see here. Let's look under oxygen. There we go, oxygen portable. This one is not set up because there's no procedure code. It did not put it in there automatically. So you would want to go and set up that item, and so that it comes up with the correct procedure code and modifiers. You can still put it in here, you just will not be able to bill it. It won't pull in any allowed billings because that's part of the coverage criteria that must not be set up. So we'll take 36 for there and we'll leave the rest the way it is. So that's just another type of item. I'm going to do one more item and let's see if something is in here. We'll probably have to set the item up because I want it set up a certain way for Medicare. So let's see if we have anything. No Ensure. How about Jevity? There's a Jevity, but let's check it out real fast. See how it's set up. So under packaging, this is not how I would do it. This is just like the test strips. I would not leave an each there. What does an each mean? Does an each mean a can? Does each mean a 6-pack? Does each mean a case? So what I would do is I would change this to a can. Maybe CN for can. And then for this particular one, we can come down here and this is set up. So 8 ounces in a can, 355 calories per can. You could also change this to mLs in a can, but 8 ounces will work. And up here, I would put all that information up here, 355 calories per can per 8 ounces. I would spell it out up top so that you know when you're putting this in there what each can has inside. You won't see this bottom part where it says measurement calories, so you want to put it in the description. And then we're going to go to the coverage, and this is the magic in the coverage. In the coverage here, we're going to hit the plus sign, click on the ellipse button, and be something. B4152 we'll say, but I don't see one to Medicare, so we have to set that up. B4152, it does not require any modifiers. We'll do Medicare Region A. So now on this one, I'm going to pretend that this is going to maybe some kind of hospice or something, and you give an amount that will cover each month, however many days are in the month. And let's say we're putting it in today for the 19th, there's like 20 days left in the month, so it'll automatically calculate how much you need to give for 20 days. And that's by clicking on this line or this option, month calendar. And then one other thing, I'm going to choose this Medicare fee schedule. And then I'm going to go over here to recurring, and I'm going to click on this, set quantity by dates. That means there's 20 days left. It'll calculate how much you need to give for 20 days. And we'll just also make it recurring. So for this particular one, I'm going to do that. However, there's one more thing, because for Medicare, 1 unit is 100 calories for enteral products. And since we have 355 calories up here, that means that 1 can is 355 calories or is 3.55 units. You'll see how that works out in 1 second here. So now my item is set up. I'm going to hit the save button. Now it put in the HCPCS code. I have 1 can and it says 4 units. Medicare, if the units are a fraction, you always round up. So 3.55 units would be actually 4 units to bill. But that's not what we're going to bill here. We're going to bill a certain number of units depending on how many cans we need for the rest of the month. So what happens is, you see here, they figured out 630. Oh, it's actually 12 days to the end. But what's that going to do for us? Well, there is a calculator. And at the bottom of the screen here, If we click on the last icon, this is a calculator. We click on it, and it comes up with this unit calculator. The first tab is Entral, and it put 24 hours, it put the 12 days in the month, it put my mLs, ounces, calories, all in there. And all I have to do is fill out one of these first 6 boxes, and it'll tell me how many cans to give for 12 days, how many calories it is, and how many units that I need to bill for. So as an example, I'm going to say this box right here. This box would be calories if you go up and to the left per day. So if the doctor said they can have 1550 calories, I hit the tab key, it will say, okay, you need to give 4.37 cans per day. And then over here, it says you need to give 52.39 cans to finish out the 12 days. And then to the left, 186 units. All I have to do is hit OK. It fills it all in. You can't give half a can, so it rounded up to 53 cans. It did the 186 units there, multiplied by 0.44, and it said that it was $81.84. You look over here, it said the price, 83 cans times $1, is only 53. That's lower than my extended price. So I don't want to bill that because that's all they're going to give. So maybe my price should be more like $2 a can. I want to go in and fix that on the item, but I need to fix it on this one so that now my extended is the allowable, and that figured all of that out because I set the item up, I set the coverage up, and I set up that Entral calculator. All right. So right now, that's all the different types of items we're going to do. We're going to continue on. We have a little time at the very end. I might do some more, but that's all we're going to do right now. So now what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about marking and unmarking. So if the customer gets an item, you have to tell the system they got it, plus you need to do some checking of the order. A lot of people, they might call it verifying the order. Basically, whatever was on the delivery ticket, you need to make sure it matches inside of TeamDME before you bill. So as an example, we'll take the first item that we put in part 1 of our webinars, and that was this quad cane. So maybe they got it on the 16th, maybe they got it on the 17th. Well, then you need to go in and update this date up top to the 17th, because when they got it, that's what the date you're supposed to bill for it. If they got anything else, different quantity or any of that stuff, you go in and fix it. That's what people call verifying the order. If everything is okay, then you just hit OK, and then you mark the line items that they received. The way to mark them, make sure your cursor is on the line that you want to mark. You come down to the third icon at the bottom. That's the red marker. You click on it. And because this is the very first order that I am marking, the first line item that I am marking for this customer, way back when we were talking about entering the customer and there was a field in the customer that said release of info, and I told you that you don't need to fill it in because the system will fill it in. Here's where it's going to do it. It's going to say, did the customer sign the release of info? Did they sign all their initial paperwork? If I say yes to this, then it just took 617 and it put it on the customer. And I will show you. I just need to save that and come back again into it and look inside the customer. I don't have to go to receivables and customer. I can just click on the ellipse button, and then under demographic, you see 617. So it added that in there for you. You did not have to enter it. Yes, it has to be in there or you can't bill, but you don't actually have to enter it. All right, let's look at the next order. Let's see here. Next order, which is a hospital bed. So for this one, we would mark it but this one needs a tracking number. So you cannot mark something if it needs a tracking number without entering a tracking or serial number. We told it when we set up the item that it requires it. You cannot say sometimes I need a tracking number and sometimes I don't on one specific item. So if we need a tracking or serial number, we would need to get the delivery ticket, and whatever is on the delivery ticket, you want to type in right here under tracking number. Now, I'm going to go and look in here and see if it'll let me in. Let's go this way. So let's see if there are any tracking numbers that are in our system. And they should have been in your system already, or you shouldn't be adding them, because if you already received them in, they should be in tracking. They should not be in limbo in your store, but not in your inventory. And I don't see anything for 5310, so we're going to have to hold that one off, and we'll have to add that later on. So let's just leave that one alone and continue on. So I can't mark that one at all. So let's go to the test strips and lancets. I don't know why. Maybe your lancets, you don't have any in stock and they needed the test strips today, so they got the test strips. So what you want to do is mark just the lines that they received. So you want to come down here on the test strips, click on the red marker, and it turned blue. Oh man, I was too click happy, and now I mark the lancets, but I don't want to do that. If they don't get the item, don't mark the order. So now I've got a problem. I've marked the lancets, but they didn't get it yet. So now I would say 75% of the people that I would talk to, all of our customers would say, well, now you have to delete the line and put it in again, or put in a whole new order again. That is incorrect. You can unmark a line item at any time. And how you do that is if you go into the line item, when I mark an order, all it does is it takes the quantity and it puts it over here under shipped. All I have to do is take the shipped out. So if I go to shipped and take it out, and then it thinks that you want it back ordered, but we're just going to say no, it's not back ordered. When I do that, it has unmarked that order. That's how you unmark a line item. It doesn't matter if it's tracked or untracked. That's how you unmark a line. Now look, this turned green. That line is green. I'll explain the colors in a second. What do we got for this one? We have the concentrator. Well, let's see. This one is going to require a tracking number. Let's see if we have any tracking numbers for this item. We probably do, but let's see. IRC 5. And if we look over to the right, normally I am typing in whatever the tracking number is that is on the delivery ticket. But for me today, I'm just going to pick one that doesn't have a customer's name. But again, you shouldn't be picking from this list. Whatever the driver wrote down on the delivery ticket, that's what you're supposed to attach, because that's the tracking number that they got. If they don't write one down, you should not be guessing. You really have to get the tracking number that the driver delivered. And I always tell people that, hey, if the driver doesn't write it down, you should force him to go back on his time and get that tracking number, because it's really important to keep track of inventory. If you were doing inventory, it has to be there. No ifs, ands, or buts. But I'm going to pick this one just because I don't know which one it was. So now that's on the delivery ticket. So now I can mark it. So those are both marked. And we'll leave this one alone also. We won't mark that one for now. So that's marking, verifying orders, checking the dates, and also putting in tracking numbers, attaching tracking and lot numbers. So let's talk about these colors. The first color you see would be blue. And you see the line is blue. That means that there are all the line items inside of an order have been marked. If we go into this one, there were 2 line items and they were both marked. This one, there was 1 line item and it was marked. It doesn't tell you how many lines are in there, but every line has been marked. You can also, if you look under the items column at the plus sign, you could click on that and that just brings you a drop down and you can see what items are there. Same thing over here, and you could see that they're both marked also. The green means that there's at least 1 line item and not everything is marked, or, here, I'll do it on this bottom one here, or whatever quantity there is, you didn't deliver or give the full quantity. So here, 53 cans, maybe you can only give them 18 cans. So I would actually put in 18 here and have a back order. Shipped does not equal quantity on this line item. So when I look at this, that line is green and this is green. So there's only 1 line, but the full amount that was shipped is not what was the quantity ordered. But in this one, we had 2 line items, but we only marked the top one. So that's what green means. Red means that we didn't add any items to the order. If we bring this one up, you'll see there's no items down here. Well, if somebody put this in and forgot to put any items and it's a week later or whatever, I wouldn't keep it in here. I would delete it. So I'm just going to highlight it with this arrow all the way to the left, not the check box, but with this arrow, hit the minus sign, and let's get rid of it. We don't need extra things in medical orders. There's another color that's gray. It's not this gray, but there's another gray. I don't see anything, but I'm going to make one up. Gray would mean that an item is being picked up or it's being returned. So in this case, let's just pretend that they got this item, but something happened and they're returning it and you're taking it back for some reason. So I put a new order in as a negative. Let's try that again. Do the plus or minus equals, and you see now it has a 1 with parentheses. That means it's a negative. But maybe you're not giving back any money, so I'm just going to change this to 0, or it was a pickup. A pickup you don't put in here this way. That's something that I'm going to show you on the last day, how to do pickups. But this is how it would end up. And if you look back on this screen, you'll see that it's a dark gray. So that means that it's a pickup or a return, and you can tell right away with that. And then the rest of these mean there are no colors. We just shade each line a little differently. So this is a light gray, white, light gray, white, light gray. So it's easier to read across. But those are not the 4 different colors: gray, green, blue, and red. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about moving or posting our orders into claims. So the first thing you need to do is, we've been putting things in medical orders. So now we're going to take anything that the customer has received and we're going to move it, and it's going to move to claims history. Now, I know people are going to object to the way I'm saying this, but they move to claims history. They do not move to claims pending, and I will prove that to you here in a minute. All medical orders move to claims history. I will talk about how they get into pending, but they move to claims history. And I will prove that to everybody. But what we have to do is we have to see what orders are going to move. And there are 3 steps in moving or posting our medical orders into claims. They are calculating, running one or multiple reports, and then posting the orders. So what's going to happen is it's going to look at anything that is blue. So this one's blue, this one's blue. We have any more? No. But some of these green ones, there's a line item that's blue. It's going to look at that one too. And it's going to say, well, if there are no 2 red flags on that line, it's going to post it. Now, if this one was blue, it won't post this one. And why won't it post it? Let's see what the error is. Delivery ticket has not been printed. Well, what we did is we put in a quantity, but we didn't print out a delivery ticket. Let's just do that so that it will allow it to at least post. Again, anything with 2 red flags would not allow it to post. Anything with 1 red flag will allow it to post, but it will not let you bill it. So now that one should not have a red flag, 2 red flags, and it doesn't. So it's going to partially post that one too. But how do I know that? Well, we can run a report. But the first thing we want to do is this column right here that says status. We need to update this status column just to make sure that everything is current. If I made any changes, I want to make sure that these flags are correct. So the first thing I do is the second to the right icon is a printer icon. I click on it, and at the very top it says calculate order status. That's that column status. I click on it, and I don't change this date. I know there might be somebody out there that does it, but for 95% of the people out there, you never touch this date. You hit OK. And now anything that has changed that has been updated is now updated. If you notice this one here, we call that a paperclip. It's not a flag, so it has no errors. But that one's not blue, so that one's not going to post to claims. Let's show you the step 2, and that's to run reports. Well, you can run incomplete items. That's good, but that's going to show you everything that has a flag, which is nice. But I like to run what is actually going to move or post from medical orders. And that's this report here, the 5th one down, ready to post. Only things that are on this report will post over to claims history. So let's look at this and see, okay, well, this is for Medicare, and it has the E1399. And you can always look for a plus sign on the left-hand side, click on it, and it'll give you more information. So this is a crutch grip. That must have been in there from somewhere else, but it was blue, and it didn't have 2 flags, so it's going to post over. So each insurance is on a separate page. Here are all my Medicare ones. We have the quad cane, test strips but no lancets, the concentrator portable, and the Jevity. So all of these are going to post. The lancets are not going to post. The hospital bed's not going to post. And then you can see the quantities. Only the quantity for the Jevity that I marked as being delivered or received is getting posted. So this is the report, especially new customers should look at and see, is there anything that needs to be changed? Well, maybe the Jevity is incorrect and they got all of it. Well, I need to fix that before I post. So let's go back into the Jevity, fix that one because I didn't really want 18 there. So what you would have to do is change this 18 to the 53 and save it. Now it's blue, but I changed something. Anytime I change something, after I'm done with all my changes, I start over with step 1 to calculate. Then I run that same report again, ready to post report. And the only thing that should have changed is this. Now, the report went back to the old viewing where it doesn't show you a lot of information. If you still want that again, click on any of the pluses on the left and it expands everything. So now I have 53 cans and it tells me how many units over here, 186. You can see, let me point that out because it's important, 53 cans, but it's actually billing 186 units. 4 boxes of test strips, but for Medicare, it's only billing for 2 units because there's 25 test strips in a box. Each 50 units is each 50 test strips is 1 unit. Make sure that there's a price. If there's no price, we will not bill the item. It'll still move over to claims, but we will not bill it. So that's something to point out. And we have a tracking number right here. So besides the quantity, the price, and the tracking number, those are the 3 big things that you need to look for. And here's why. Once this posts to claims, you can never delete a claim. You can never change the quantity, the price, or the tracking number. So those you should look at very well, especially in the beginning when you're not sure if your items and things are set up correctly. If they are and you don't find it, the only thing you can do is write off the claim, adjust your inventory, and re-enter the orders again. And that takes time, where this should not take you too long. After you start putting things in and you use the same items over and over and they're correct, you don't have to look too closely at this report, but especially in the beginning, I would look at it a lot. But if everything is okay on here, then what you do is you will post this. Now I do want to fix one thing. Oh, no, I'll wait for that. So I'm going to post it. Our posting button is the diskette all the way to the right. That diskette, you click on it, comes up with today's date, and we're going to hit OK. And when we hit OK, those orders for the quad cane, the test strips, the concentrator and portable, and the longevity will all post to claims history. And then if there's any recurring orders, they will post next month's order into recurs. And I'm going to cancel this for 1 second to show you. Over here, we were looking at medical orders. Point this out. Medical orders. And we're going to post all of those to claims. Again, there's a 2% chance they won't go to claims if you clicked on move first month into recurs for hospice, but anything else that's set up, 99% of the customers out there don't do hospice. If you set up your coverage correctly, where you don't change it, then everything will go correctly into claims history. And then under recurring orders, the test strips, the oxygen and portable, the concentrator and portable, and the longevity will also go into recurs for next month. So we're going to post those. So I'm going to hit the posting button. It says posting date today, and now I get an error. Okay. So there must be something on one of these items that is causing my error. So I'm going to take a quick look here and see if I can figure out what the problem is. Let me post it again and just see if I can fix this real fast. Note 4040. All right, so let me just look at my orders, and there's going to be a note here somewhere that needs to be fixed. It could be any one of these, it could be all of them. It's not any of those, but it could be any one of these, so I'm going to quickly look and see if I can figure it out. Not any there. And this would be something that you would need to call us on so that we can take a look at it and see why there is a note that is in there. So I don't see a note 4040. So where's the other one? Is it Minnie Mouse? Could be on Minnie Mouse. Let's just see. No, it's not. All right, so that doesn't help me any. So there must be another order here. We'll go back to the first one again, because that's probably the most likely. Let's see if I missed it in here. No, I didn't. But these are all new orders, so it's got to be something that I did do that has order that has a comment of 4040. It's got to be one of these. It's not that one. It's not that one. Don't know where it could be. And then this one is not 4040, I didn't think. 4038. So what did I do to get 4040? See if I can tell any more information. But again, you need to call us on this and tell us what's in here. 4041. So there must be some kind of note in here that is stopping me from billing. So I'm going to try something. And this column here that says checked, this is a way to isolate just items in a list that you want something to happen. So if I check off these 4 orders, and then at the top, I click on the box with the check mark, I only now see those 4 orders. And those 4 are filtered by just checking them off. Now I could go to the filter, the funnel up top, and this is going to be a Friday issue to show you. But if I just want to do these real fast, I can do that. Then I'm going to calculate again, and I'm going to see if they will post. And they don't. So it's something internally that I need to figure out so that I can post these over. So we're going to have to wait for this for tomorrow, and I will fix this. And before we get to any kind of documentations or whatever, I'm going to show you that these will post into claims. Again, I will point out and I will show you that they will be in claims, but not in claims pending. But anyway, I'm going to click on that box with the black check mark in it to bring back everything for now. All right, I'm going to see what kind of questions we have. So first question is, if an order has not been printed, it will not post. It will not post because we think that you need to print out a delivery ticket. However, I still don't have to print out a delivery ticket if I mark the whole order as being shipped. That thinks that it has been printed, but if it's a partial one, then yes, you do have to print it out still. And then the second question here is, what about the one you changed to a credit? I have to go back and look at that. It could be that one, but I didn't mark it. So I don't think it's going to be that one that's giving me the error because it's not blue. Even credits or returns or pickups, you still have to mark it because if it's not blue, it means that you didn't pick it up or return it yet. So I don't think it was that either, but we'll figure it out. So that was 2 questions. Do we have other questions? If we don't, then I'm going to do a few things here just to try and post something else like this one here. I'm going to enter a tracking number. Now, the correct way to enter tracking numbers would be through a purchase order. That's another whole webinar that we actually don't do this week or next week. So I'm not going to go through it too fast, but I'm going to pretend that we're going to add another one. But this is the wrong item. I must have clicked on the wrong item at some point. It wasn't ZZZ 5310, it was just 5310. So let's go back to 5310. I'm going to save it. So then I'm going to put in a purchase order and post it. Again, I'm not going to go through all this, but if you have this module on the left-hand side, you can go to purchase orders. So this is, I just received in 2 hospital beds from Invacare. And I didn't put the purchase order in before I got them, but I did. But I'm going to do it now. I could have put it in beforehand, printed out a purchase order, fax it over to the manufacturer, and then I can put in the serial numbers. But I didn't do that, so I'm going to do everything at one time. I hit the plus sign. I'm going to look for the vendor, Invacare, and it puts in all this information because that's how I set up my vendor called Invacare. This is similar to a medical order. Think of the customer as the vendor, and then down at the bottom, we still have to put in our items. Hit the plus sign, and I'm going to put in my 5310. So 5310 is not normally ordered from this vendor. That's because I didn't set up a vendor on the item, but I can say yes so that it will attach it. And then I said that I was getting 2 of these. Since I did receive them in, I know the price. The price was $350, so I'm going to put that in there now. If you did set up the vendor on the item, then it would have pulled in the price automatically. I'm just going to save it to show you what it looks like, and there's a purchase order. If you have not received it yet, but you want to print out a purchase order, you can go to the printer icon and say purchase order, and here's a purchase order ticket. But I did get it in. Did it print correctly? Sure. I did get it in. So now I need to enter those tracking numbers. You see here, it put the person approving it. Well, you can set it up so that you have to actually approve purchase orders by hitting the pen down here. But for me, I set it up that whoever's putting it in is also approving it. But now I would come back and said, oh, I just got in 2 of these hospital beds. You don't mark this, it needs tracking numbers. So I go into the purchase order and I go to the tracking number box 5 down, and then I enter my tracking or serial numbers. There's one of them, and there's the second one. Hit the check mark. You notice there was only 2 here because that's the quantity on the purchase order. I save it, it only shows you 1 there, but it did put in 2 received because I put in 2 tracking numbers. Now it's blue, just like a medical order. I'm going to isolate it just so that I can just do the 1 today. I would do all of them normally. Then I would run a report on received items to see what is going to post into our inventory. So it only shows you, oh, we got to click on the plus sign to see all the tracking numbers. And then we post it into our inventory with the diskette. Now I can add that tracking number to our medical order because I just received it into our inventory. So if we go to the hospital bed, bring up that line item, and I put in 123321, It accepts that. Now I can mark it. So we're going to try one more here. Let's just see if that one will go, but it's probably still looking at other things, but we'll try that one. Uh-oh, we got 2 red flags, so that's not going to post. If I try and calculate, and then I run my ready to post report, it will not show anything because there's 2 red flags. 2 red flags means it will never post to medical orders. So let's go in and see what the error is now. Date of service prior to purchase date. All right, so I marked this, and I know that when I marked the first line item, it put in a release of info date on the customer. So why is it coming up saying that it is date of service prior to release of info or prior to purchase date? That's because this item is on the 16th, but that other item I changed to the 17th, and since the 17th is after the 16th, how could this have been delivered on the 16th when the original paperwork was all signed on the 17th? So that happens occasionally. So I just have to go into the customer and fix that release of info date to the 16th, because that's truly when all the paperwork was signed, on the 16th. So now I want to calculate again. And for some reason, it's still got 2 red flags. Well, I fixed it, didn't I? Did I save it? Oh, still says prior to purchase. Oh, to purchase date. Okay, different story. So I put in a purchase order, and I posted it with today's date, the 19th. That means that I received it on the 19th. How could I have delivered it on the 16th when I didn't get it in until the 19th? So there's a couple ways to do this. You'd have to go into the item, the tracking, and there's a way to fix the purchase date back to the 16th if that's when you truly got it. But for my purposes today, I'm just going to change this to the 19th so that I can not have to go through all that. But again, that would not be the correct way. If you got it on the 16th, you need to go and update your tracking number. Now it's only 1 red flag. I want to calculate again. I want to look at my ready to post report, which will just have that 1 because nothing else is checked off. And let's see if we can post it. We probably can't, but let's see if we can. No. So I have to go in and take a look at why these are coming up this way, and I will have that. So the last step of posting I will show in tomorrow's webinar. Tomorrow's webinar is on documentation and billing. So anybody that needs to see that needs to watch the first few minutes of that. Will be webinar number 7. Let me just see if there are any other questions real fast. Kelly got it right. I received the bet on the 19th. I cannot deliver it on the 16th. All right, so that's all we're going to do today. I'm going to stop the recording